So what drove us to start this? What is Hunt for More? What are we doing? Yeah, we all hunt, but there's more. There's more to Trent. Uh, there's more to me. There's more to Cole. There's more to just applying for tags and acquiring tags, and there's more to.
There's more to hunting.
I didn't grow up hunting constantly.
Right.
I got into this game, if you will, a whole lot later in life, but it's really opened up a whole lot of friendships, relationships, passions in my life that I would have never expected, And so, like, for me, it's not just, I don't want to hear the stories about, like, oh, woe is me almost,
Yeah.
like, I'm so great at this. I genuinely do want to continue, like, I want to have those conversations. It's not just the guy being boastful, but like, how did we get to that point?
Yeah, man. I mean, trust me, I'm good stuff. I'm great. I've done some insane things in my life, right? I'm up there. I'm pretty good. However, nobody cares. If you're not adding value, nobody cares.
All right, well, it's episode 1. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If there's all 7 of you that are going to listen to this, maybe even watch it. We're working really hard to make video here. But welcome to episode 1 of the Hunt for More podcast. We're going to go through and talk about really what this is here in episode 1. But I think the biggest thing is we all have a lot of passions. They all involve hunting, but all 3 of us have a different avenue of how we, invest those passions back into hunting, if you will. We all come from different walks of life, different backgrounds, some similar, some not, but we're all coming together, and we just want to really relay that, like, there's a lot more to hunting than just like the grip and grin, as Ryan calls it, whenever you have a dead animal on the ground. And there's a whole lot more to podcasts that talk about hunting than just a handful of guys bragging about how awesome they are. And so, like, we want to add value to your life, to this car ride that you're on, to sitting down watching a YouTube video. And hopefully it's something you can take back into a tree stand or into the mountains eventually.
Car ride, train wreck, whatever you call it. Either one works.
Maybe the old horse and buggy, maybe you got the old JBL speaker. That's kind of been a trend lately.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about the JBL speaker, playing some Fetty Wap.
Pretty horse.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the trend right now on the old ground.
Have you seen that trend, Ryan?
I'm not really a trend follower.
Dude, trendsetter.
Sitting over here.
Yeah, I'm the trendsetter.
Yeah. I'm not trendy at all. I'm
the
just
Hunt
a
for
guy.
More.
I just vibe to my own nonsense. So I actually don't.
What is it called?
I don't know what you're talking about. Is short.
You haven't seen that
short,
one?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's like a Fetty Wap audio that's like been edited to where it sounds like it's playing on a JBL speaker, but then it like is muffled, so it sounds like it's like you can hear it through someone else's headphones. And it's just like everyone's making videos. It's like the boys rolling into World War II playing Fetty Wap, and it's like you see a bunch of P-51 Mustangs rolling, and it's like you hear Fetty Wap playing in the background, and there's been a ton of videos about it.
Oh, yeah. They have some of George Washington storming across the river, playing with his old JBL.
He was playing WAP.
So
that's
ridiculous.
For sure. That boy was playing WAP.
Absolutely. He was hunting for more.
Yeah, so Hunt for More. All right. Well, that's very mid at best introduction, Trent. But I appreciate that. That's good.
Hey, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to be
so
mid.
Hunt for More, right?
I think it was good.
What defines Hunt for More, if you were to put a definition on it? I would say there's more to everything, right? To what we do. We hunt. We're all 3 hunters, but there's way more to that. Fitness, health, relationships, life, gear, Not that any of us are experts in anything, or maybe we are, I don't know. I guess we would be to some people. Yeah, so the whole goal of this is not just to be another hunting podcast, because hey, I don't know about you guys, I'm kind of over those. Like Trent said earlier, I've said it's the same circle of guys in the industry that seem to just bounce from podcast to podcast to podcast, and every episode is literally identical when you listen to them. It's kind of and not to downplay any of these guys. There's a lot of great guys. There's a lot of knowledge out there, right? but I think I gravitate to the podcasts that are knowledge, not the guy that's, man, let me tell you how awesome I am, how freaking sick I am at deer hunting or elk hunting, or how many public land OTC DIY bulls I've killed. Like, man, cool. I mean, to me, I'm like, who cares? What are you doing outside of that, right? What is it? If you have a platform, right? What are you using it for? So that's the idea behind Hunt for More. Is we have platforms, some big, some small. I mean, I guess I'd say they're all a little small, but we have a platform. We have reach. Dare I say, we have influence. What are you doing with it, right? Who are we helping people? Are we making people better hunters? Are we not just telling everybody how awesome we are, but are we educating people, right? So throughout these episodes, I think be a lot of education, but we are just who we are. So there's going to be a lot of probably comedy in here, if I were to guess. But it's safe and say that that's going to happen.
It's the nature of the
Yeah.
beast.
But yeah, topics that are going to be interesting, going to be deep, but also, like, when we interview somebody, I don't want to interview the hunter. I want to interview the person, right? So if I'm sitting here interviewing Cole, I want to know about Cole. I don't care about Cole the hunter. He's a hunter. That's what brought him to this platform. But I want to know what makes Cole, what makes his decisions, where his story starts. We're real big on the tell your story, tell other people's story kind of thing, because I think we all gravitate to that. I think it's human nature to want to hear those stories. And so, yeah, that's the goal. I guess I'm the only one doing episode 1. Are you guys chiming in at all or no?
I mean, you're rolling, so I was going to let you keep going.
Yeah, I was going to let you wrap up. But yeah, like the Hunt for More, I think there is like a deeper level to everybody, like who you are at home. I mean, like what you do, your day-to-day life, not just like on Instagram as far as your highlight reel of what you do hunting. There's just a lot more to all of us. I think it's kind of the chance to like dive into that, like with everybody.
Right.
Yeah, what you mentioned is like, it's like, I understand, like, I'm not interested in Cole the hunter. I'm interested in like Cole the person. You know, that's something you were talking about. That is what I was thinking about. Is like our first hunt that we all got to do together wasn't like, the memories I have of that like awesome week wasn't about the fact that like, oh man, we almost got done. Like we almost killed a really great bull, and we can talk about that later, about how we all kind of did end up getting together with that. But it was like the nights that we were sitting around the campfire, just shooting the bull, and I mean, laughing hysterically. It's all of us moaning and complaining because we're all cold and exhausted the next morning, but like just having the time of our lives doing it all together. It's like, those are the memories that I have from that week, like getting to see Fester absolutely light up every single time that you guys put him on a bull, which was every single day, for the record. So shout out to you guys for that. That was awesome. But
yeah, and
it was all those little like
Cole
moments.
he was upset I didn't cook dinner for him every night. He came home. He came back to the fire with a little bit of attitude. You haven't cooked yet? No,
Nope.
I haven't.
I was just out there starving. It was just rough. It was.
I was waiting on him to cook. Man.
First
He
one to
said- he
leave
set
camp,
up-
last one to get back, and I had to
Well,
cook dinner.
I'm sorry, man.
Oh,
Just
were y'all
be
beefing
better.
in camp and I didn't even know it?
No. I don't even. One night he got
Only
he
one
got
day.
Heard about something, and then he made. What'd you make?
So this is how it
He made
happened.
carne
The
asada,
first
and I
night,
said, "Man,
we
this
didn't really
is gross.
beef.
This ain't carne asada. This ain't how you make it."
He's like, God, you overseasoned
it was
this
terrible.
thing.
It was
It's
terrible, I'll
disgusting,
be
man.
honest. It was bad. But it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the pan sucked.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe I'm making
was the pan.
excuses.
No, it
but,
was heavily seasoned. Heavily seasoned.
it wasn't good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's pretty
It
low
was thicker
standards
than
for
Big
food.
X on that meat. I'm telling you, there was a lot of seasoning.
Through with the plug on that one.
No.
It was not good.
Man,
But no, I mean, I think hunt camp's cool because like you really could have like a little bit of beef, but at the end of the day, we're all doing like kind of what we love, so you kind of forget about it within a couple hours.
he didn't
so it's
forget. He
kinda-
texted me
it's
like a
kind of
week
the cool
later still
aspect.
about it.
Oh, they were
I did.
beefing on
I did
episode
text
1
you.
already. I
Yeah,
love
you
it.
know, you just gotta be real. You gotta be
It
real.
was
He
funny.
was upset about the carne asada.
It was
He
transparent.
was upset. He was hurt.
Sounds like you were pretty upset about it too.
No,
though, to be fair.
I would just, I just did what I always do and speak my mind. That's what it is.
I think all I saw you
Ugh.
consume that week was hot dogs and pistachios. Just glizzies and nuts for 5 days
Oh,
straight.
I'll
dude.
power you up them mountains. I mean, you hiked with me. It works.
Investor's like, there's no way I'm going up that. He's like, we can do it, but it's going to be nightfall by the time I get up there.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
Yeah,
was
so-
cool. Like that was a really fun time.
Enough about that. It was a great hunt. It's a good
So, yeah, I
time.
mean, I
But,
guess like maybe
Trent, who are you? Let's talk about you.
I was gonna say maybe Trent could
Yeah,
should,
introduce yourself.
do a little
Let's-
background.
Not
maybe.
not in depth. Just
Yeah.
who are you? What do you? Why are you here?
For my background, is I am not a quote unquote owner, worker, guide of Blackhorn, as both of you guys are, but got introduced to that because of a mission that I started a year ago. But for my background per se, I am a F-16 pilot in the Air Force, and just a guy who loves to hunt. It's been a new passion of mine, and so like you guys have been a huge mentor and role in that, if you will. Just like really leaned to that and been like, oh, who's this Teddy idiot? Like, let's help him out. So for me, kind of the way that like me and Ryan really hit it off to start off with, and then Cole through Blackhorn was both of our Air Force backgrounds for sure.
Yeah.
I think we have a very similar wavelength for a lot of that, just because it's like, hey, this is a thing that needs to get done. Like, I don't care how you do it, just like make it happen.
Right.
And so, and like being able to be very matter of fact with a lot of things without ever getting like feelings all twisted and butthurt about it. Like debriefing is a huge part of everything that we do on day-to-day basis in the Air Force.
Yeah.
So just shoot me straight and tell me what I can do to be better and how to fix it. And I think that's super helpful, and like reason that like we are able to work really well together, because you're like, this sucks, fix it. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean Trent's spot on. Yeah, he's there's a lot more to him than that, but we'll do another episode on what makes us us. But yeah, so Trent and I go back through the Air Force. Mutual buddy connected us, and he spot on there. On you have friends that are, buddies that you're friends with. You go have a beer with them or go on a hunt with them, but they're not your accountability bros. And I like to say you've got, should have 2 to 3 to 4 accountability bros in life. 2 of you are right here, and Jim's not on here, and I've got a couple others, Dan, and I won't. Let's say I got 5 dudes that I can count on at any given time, that they're not just going to tell me what I want to hear. They're going to tell me what I need to hear, what needs to happen, because that's how life works. Now, not to alienate Cole out, but Cole has not served in the military. All 4 of the other guys have in my life. So there's a different wavelength there where sometimes it doesn't have to be said. You just know when you need to course correct. When you need to knock it off, and you hold each other to that standard. So when I met Trent, both of us being aviation backgrounds, there's speak within the aviation world that it doesn't matter what you feel, it's what is right and what is wrong, and you never are silent about that. So it was very easy, when Trent said, "Hey man, yeah, I'm getting stationed out in New Mexico. I want to kill some sheep." John said, "Talk to you." Started talking, went just became friends over the course of probably what I would say almost 3 years now, if not more.
Yeah, I think it would have had to been at least 2020.
Yeah, so
whenever he
5 years
at least started
Yeah,
it,
Yeah, 5 years of friendship with Trent, which in the last 2 years it's become very, very tight. But there's that connection that my background Air Force, his background Air Force, similar communities. You connect real quick, and you can get real transparent with guys real quick.
Yeah, like something that we always say is like you don't ever keep a secret, at least in the aviation world specifically, like especially in the pilot world, like you don't keep secrets in the debrief kind of thing. And I feel like that's the way that we have operated a lot is like, it does not matter. There's not any feelings involved whatsoever. It's like, this is the matter of the fact. And this is how you should do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And I think that's helped
and
us.
that translates.
Like we just get along.
Yeah,
because of
dude.
It, you know?
Well, I mean, again, that translates right back to hunting, right? So when you say hunt for more, right, you can translate this stuff right back to hunting to where we're on an elk hunt and we're trying to do stuff. We're working on the same page with stuff. It's super easy to just be like, nah, bro, that's stupid. You know, and then you back it back and forth. And, you know, my way may be stupid. His might be stupid. And you talk it out and nobody cares. No one's getting butt hurt. It's just, bam, this is what we're doing or this is what we're not doing. Maybe we're both wrong, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Or maybe we're both butthurt at the end of it too. Because we ended up making the wrong decision.
Carne asada suck, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe someone made some jacked up.
It's
carne
okay,
asada.
man. It's
Dude, my
okay.
follow-up question here is that's like the background intro, like how we kind of started. But I guess something I've never asked you too is like how did you and Cole kind of start Blackhorn? Where'd that relationship start way back when?
Yeah,
like, what's
so
the origin of
obviously what
I was a young
Cole and I
lad.
bring to the table. We both own Blackhorn Guide Service, and we've both hunted and guided. I think I got my guide license. I don't know, Cole, was it 2014? I think it was 2014 or 2015.
I'm not even too
Yeah.
sure. I didn't know you.
It's been 10.
2014. We met
I've
in
had a New Mexico guide license
2015.
for 10 years now. And Cole is not far behind. I think I made Cole go take his test. How old were you, Cole? And I was like, go take your stupid test.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I took my test when I was
Yeah.
18 because that's just, like the minimum you could be. But I want to say that was in 2017 is when I got my guide's license. Yeah, you drove me to take my test. We went to Cruces together, and yeah, it's kind of like really what all started.
Yeah,
it.
so man, we could go for a long time on our backstory, but Jim and I, JC Custom Kydex for you guys out there on the Instagrams, makes a bunch of holsters. Probably made holsters for you guys. He's also one of my best friends, the dude in that accountability club, as if you would. One of the homies. Him and I, we're both stationed in New Mexico together. Hunted a lot. And we were out on, I want to say Jim's deer hunt on one of the Army ranges. And we kill a deer and we're coming back out. There's a little check station and there's this janky little taxidermist set up, trying to, get people's animals off them and let me do your animal this much, And Cole, being the young man that he was, just trying to make a buck, was out working for him, skinning heads and all that. And so Jim and I met Cole that day, and he was with another dude, and the other dude, we won't mention him, but Jim and I both immediately were like, nah, not that dude. That dude, nope. But then we're like, that Cole kid, he's nice. We like him. He's a good dude. He seemed like a good guy, just sitting there BSing, talking. And then Cole and I ended up having the same late season elk tag, a late season archery elk tag. I don't know, what was it, a week later? 2 weeks later?
Yeah, week or two later.
So we all got out there and hunted on that. And I was stalking a pretty good bull, probably going to kill this bull where he was. And Cole's old little buddy that he was with came walking down a spine right above the bull that was bedded. Thermals blew the bull out. Bull went gone.
No.
I'm like, my God. And then he blew all the bulls out and all the bulls ran over. And they ran right in front of Cole wherever he was sitting on the side of the hill. It was like 2 fingers over, and Cole shot him an old bull.
Hammered
he
him.
emptied a quiver in him, we'll say. He's done that a time or two
Yeah.
ago. I've watched him empty a whole
Yeah,
clip.
that was
It was the first time I've known him to do it, but he's done it 2 or 3 more times since then.
well, that's what started it. That was
Yeah.
That's what started it. That was my first archery
Yeah.
elk. Yeah, I was like 16 years old. Is a junior in high school. Yeah, and I bought a bow the month before the hunt and shot it probably every day, and then shot that bull surprisingly on day 2, right after they all blew out from Ryan.
He didn't shoot the elk I was trying to shoot. He just stuck him whatever one happened to come by.
He came by and he had a 6x on it.
That was
that's
the legal limit. Yeah,
minimum,
had to
like-
have a 6 on one
Yeah,
side.
the legal.
And
it had to
old,
be a
old Cole
6.
just, man, he took every Walmart arrow he had and let it rip.
Just in the boiler room, dude.
No, I mean, it was
Oh
from.
gosh, it didn't hit the boiler
Oh,
room.
man, that bull had arrows in it from neck to hip.
It was a rough day.
From
in the old
gullet
woods.
to butthole, huh?
Jim and I are just dying. We're like, man, I like this kid. He's funny. And at that time,
So you guys met because
Yeah.
you were running a taxidermist flea market, basically.
So
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
he was
dude.
the
I had
Euro
no
Mount
idea.
guy
Wait.
at taxidermist, and then just sending every.
So-
he had a.
Just standing there with the
Bro, I
pot of
can't-
water that's
I
boiling.
guarantee you, he didn't. Cole didn't have the same broadhead on each one of those arrows, or
I
each
did.
each one
I'll
of those
tell you,
arrows weren't
they
the
were
same
the-
arrow. Was it? Is that what it was?
Walmart specials. So you like full length, weren't cut. They were like 31 inches, and they all had Grim Reaper whitetail specials on them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I couldn't tell you what the
Yeah,
arrows
I think
weighed.
each arrow was
All I
different from each other.
I mean, I shot okay, but yeah, I did. It was nothing like today.
I
Like,
mean, he's
just
16
bought
years old.
The
Who-
cheapest.
you know, that's how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, you know,
Balling on a budget. That's
Yeah.
all it was.
We can go down this rabbit hole later if you want to, but I had no idea what I was getting myself into whenever I like really started diving into archery. I was like, oh, there's some super nerds in this world, and there's a lot that goes into it. It's not like pick up dad's old recurve and go shoot at a bale of hay like I did whenever I was a kid, you know?
mhm.
There's
Well, I can
so
tell you
much
right
more
now,
that goes into it than that.
I've watched Cole do it twice now, and it doesn't really matter what you're using. Just get him in there.
It helps if you can get into 14 yards. Doesn't really matter what kind of arrow you're shooting at that point.
You know,
But yeah, like
you can't
as
tell the
far as, like,
story
the
without
back-
giving him a hard time, because that's how it was. That's why Jim and I were like, I like that kid. He's just out there. He's giving it.
It's like,
the onion.
So you know,
Yeah, just
long
giving her
story
the
short,
onion.
Cole working at this taxidermist, Jim and I used to stop there, and we'd be on our way home from work, and we'd be like, let's stop and hang out with Cole and see what Cole's up to. Yeah, knowing he's 16, right? And you know, Jim and I are both at this point late 20s. You know, both been in the Air Force for 10 years, and we liked Cole, and it was like, man, this taxidermy, he's, you know, piece of crap person. I'm not gonna throw his name out there, but not a good dude. And you know, Cole's out there just trying to make money as a 16-year-old, you know, playing baseball and just doing his thing. And so Jim and I kind of like just gravitated to like, man, you know, let's just go stop in, see what he's up to, talk to him, and
let's go hang out with Cole for a
yeah,
little bit.
man. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're not.
It was
You know, I
like
wouldn't
a-
say we're responsible for who Cole is, but I could tell you right now that Jim and I have a giant influence on who Cole is.
Well, like you guys used to come in probably. I'd go there every day after school and work, and I bet 4 out of 5 days of the week it was either you or Jim or both of you guys stopped by the shop and would stay for like 2 hours. So I mean, I saw you guys quite
Yeah.
a bit, unless something was haywire and you were super busy with kids or something like that. But yeah, I saw you guys.
Oh,
a
I mean,
ton.
we each only had one kid at that point. Yeah, but no, we started. You know, Cole was telling me about all his sheep because you know I grew up in that same town, and Cole's like, yeah, I hunt sheep here and this and that, and I'm like, oh yeah, so do we. Like, and then we start talking, and I'm finding out Cole's just hiking his butt off. He ain't glassing nothing. He's just handhelding binoculars, and I'm like, homie, let's do this. Let's get out there with some tripods and hunt sheep. And
It was not.
it wasn't that bad.
Time. He's
No, I ain't
exaggerating that.
it. I ain't. Brother had Vortex Vulture
I think,
15s that he was handhelding.
There's nothing wrong with hand holding a set of vortexes, all
Some
right?
15s at that.
Easy.
Brother. When you're shaking, you really pick it up, man.
What was that, like 2016? So I mean, I had probably killed already 5 over-the-counter sheep, or 4, I think, at that
Yeah.
point. I can't remember what year
I think it
we
was
opened
14
up.
because that's when I killed the first one. It was 14.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, it had been a while. Like I wasn't that bad at sheep
No,
hunting, but
no. I think
yeah.
you and your dad had already killed like 2 or 3.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like that's kind of I definitely grew up sheep hunting the
Yeah.
wrong way when I was like 6 years old, 7 years old. When it first became over the counter before it went to a draw and then went back to over the counter, my dad, we would just hike around and he never believed in binoculars, so we just looked through a 243 scope trying to like find sheep as you walk through the cliffs. So it was like I definitely, if it wasn't for like Ryan and everybody like getting me more into like, I guess like the westernized side of things, like I probably still be just tromping around through the woods, just like my dad did, and like and how his dad did. So definitely, I gotta give you like a little bit of credit.
You don't have
But
to give any credit.
but yeah.
We already know. We know who built your baby.
I think that's one of my
Oh,
biggest
God.
regrets
just
from being
joking.
at Holloman is never going and sheep hunting.
Yeah.
It's just so tough. A whole year
Yeah.
looking back. I mean, granted, it's a really busy.
I mean, I gave
season
you
of
all the
life,
spots
so
and
just,
you never did.
yeah, it was tough. I had other priorities back
I
then,
know.
but looking back, I'm like, man, I should
I
have.
know. It's all good. No, and
Good
not
news.
not to
Still over the
not
counter.
to demean Cole and who he was. He was a very capable hunter. He had a good head on his shoulders, or we wouldn't have been investing the time into him. But yeah, he just gravitated to him. We liked him. His dad started talking to me and was like, "Thanks for being a good influence." And I was like, "I don't know if I'm a good influence, but we'll take care of him." So we all
I'm an
started
Air
kind of
Force maintainer. There's no shot I'm a good influence. You know what I've said to a bread truck today?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So
Ugh.
that's how we met, and then it just we talked a lot, and I want to say, I don't know, what do you say, Cole? 2020, I was deployed. Cole, we were talking, and he's just like, man, he was having some struggles with another outfitter he was guiding for, and I'm like, bro, why don't we just start our own?
Well, and I push back that. Like, I think since I was a kid, I always
Yeah.
wanted to be an
Yeah.
outfitter, but we had brought it up probably
I think you wanted to always guide
like
people.
20. Well, so I always used to always tell Ryan, my goal was just to be like an outfitter or like guide hunts. Really, it wasn't like technically be an outfitter. So like guide
And
hunts,
shed hunting.
and like all this. And Ryan's like, "Oh, you're just gonna live and be a shed
Brother
hunter."
wanted
So
to
now he
shed
makes
hunt
fun
for
of
a
that
living.
to like.
I was like, oh man.
He tells everybody I just wanted to be a lifelong shed hunter.
You did for one season of life. I mean, let's be real. You really did.
I was like
you're like,
17,
bro, I
so it
make
was
so much
okay.
money finding sheds, and I was like, I don't think you know what so much money is, homie. I don't think you know.
I was poor. But yeah, we had brought it up, I bet, like 2019, maybe 2020. It was right before you deployed. And then what? We started Blackhorn in 2022.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
2-year
2022.
because I was deployed from February 2020 to February 21. So there was a whole lot
Yeah.
of talk during that entire year. I think I think we had already had like soft plans with logos and name. I think
Yeah,
during that year I was deployed, we came up with the name. Yeah, and we did. We had logos figured out.
Yep. We came up with a name, and then we like it was honestly probably like a year of not us like not being serious, but like we just didn't initiate and do everything because of the way the system rolls with like the draw and
Yeah.
everything. So we just pushed it out another year. And then 2022 was like we already had an LLC, I want to say like maybe the beginning of
Mhm.
22, and then we just kind of rolled everything else out as far as business wise, and then we did like those antelope
Yeah.
hunts and everything.
So we started with some private
that
land
fall.
antelope tags. And you know how I am with everything is if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. So for us, slow rolling was not slow rolling to drag our feet. It was slow rolling to make sure that when we did it, you start at the top.
being prepared. That doesn't surprise me at all. Never hearing that background is that it took you 2 years to get to the point where you rolled it out. That doesn't surprise me at all, knowing like who both of you are for sure, especially you, Ryan, because you're very
Yeah.
much so like, this is how we're gonna do
Yeah,
things. You know,
strategic thinking. You know, that not to say that that's all it was, but it was very much like, yeah, there's strategy to this. Yeah, it's just hunting, but again, there's a lot more to this. This is also a business. And this is hunting where we wanted to hunt and guide people the way we hunted, right? A lot of feedback from clients that, Cole guided a lot of guys that had a lot of feedback. I had guided some guys that I wouldn't say they had bad feedback with their current outfitters, but they definitely felt like they were just in a client mill of just being ran through to come on in, kill your elk, get out so we can move the next guy in.
yeah,
And that always kind of stuck with me as like, man, dude, it's a blue collar dude from Oklahoma. The one dude that really hit me real hard, he's from Oklahoma, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm not wealthy. I saved. He bought a unit wide tag. And he's like, I saved a lot of money to do this, and the poor dude missed 3 times. And I was like, man, I can't shoot the bow for you. I can put you on elk, I can't shoot the bow for you. So I felt bad. He went home without an elk, but he's the one that kind of hit me of like, all right, like when these guys hire us and they trust us, I mean, these aren't all rich people, these aren't dudes that are just endless money coming out. These are guys like us that, don't know elk. They just, just because they didn't grow up where elk are, and then they want to shoot an elk, and here they are trusting somebody, giving them their money, and that outfit is basically just seeing them for the dollar signs, and that's all they are, was dollar signs to them.
Well, and I think it kind of ties it back to like the hunt for more. Is it's kind of, there's a lot more than it just being like this is a guided
Yeah.
hunt and a client thing. Like it's a full experience. Like you're not just paying for a transactional, like you're showing up to kill an
Yeah.
animal. Like there's a lot more to it as far as like the camp setting, just the whole experience and like kind of the memories you make with it. It's not just a transactional
Yeah.
process.
And that dude, I'll be honest, that dude didn't care what he killed. He didn't care what size elk he killed. He had a goal of killing an elk. And now we got on big bulls, and he just said, man, don't stress yourself. I'm not worried about the size of the elk. I'm here elk hunting in New Mexico. I'm having a blast. You're doing great. Don't be stressed about the size of the bull. And I sat there for a minute. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was eating an Uncrustable, and I was like, oh, man, if this dude don't care about the bull, like we can start flying some arrows on some things. And the big bull opening morning is a really good bull, and I just couldn't get him there fast enough. Like I could, but you can never, again, can't out hike your client. You can't out hunt your client. And then no fault of his own. Most people aren't used to the mountains. But what I took away from that was he never cared one bit about the size of the elk. Not one bit. He was there. He was having a blast. He was enjoying himself. He's a small business owner, blue collar guy, and he just was about it all, just consuming it, taking it all in. And Cole and I talked about that a lot, man. Like, dude, there's guys that are going to be all about the inches, and we both said it to each other many times. I'm like, I quite frankly, like if they don't want to hire us because they have a mindset of 400-inch bull or nothing, and I'm always like, yeah, me too, bro, me too. That's not a realistic expectation always for public land. I'm not going to say it's not impossible, because it's not, but you can't come out on every hunt with that expectation. But there's a lot of guys that do. Probably not so much now, but I'd say 7 years ago there was between a lot of big Jay Scott podcasts, Epic. I mean, every dude that came out there thought that they should be getting on a 380 to 400-inch bull every time they went elk hunting, and I'm just like, oh man, you're crazy. Like that ain't realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that dude John, that was the first time that I kind of just was like, man, this dude. So it made a shift in my mind of, well, there's a lot of people out there that want to hire an outfitter and they want to go guided, but they're not looking for some, monumental achievement. They're just looking for an experience. They're looking for
Yeah.
a memory, right? They're out here to they're gonna go home to their buddies and Tennessee, Mississippi, wherever, and like, man, I went on this elk hunt for 7 days. It was insane. All the bulls were screaming. To them, they're all huge. Every bull, came in. He's like, "Oh man, it's a big one." And I was like, "Oh, don't shoot that one."
That's a dink.
Don't shoot.
I can hear it
Well,
now.
and, like we kind of talked about it. I think a lot of people, especially out east, like they view elk hunting maybe how we view Alaska or
Yeah.
something like that. Where if I'm going to Alaska, I don't care if I'm shooting a Boone and Crockett animal. I'm going to Alaska for the experience.
Mhm.
So it's just kind of. I think a lot of people have that same idea of New Mexico and elk hunting, or even like any species. If you're hunting ibex, bighorn, or anything, it's just more about the experience versus just showing up and be like, I want a Boone and Crockett animal. Like this has to be 380 plus or something. I don't think everybody
Yeah,
thinks
no.
that way.
You got to remember.
Yeah, as a guy who is not a hunting guide and does not live in New Mexico, that is spot on, Cole.
Yeah,
That
you
is
got to
100%
remember why
spot
you're
on.
there. Again, a hunt for more. There's more. There's more to it, right? Why are
Yeah.
you there? What are you looking for, right? Because the guy that's hired you may not even care if he kills something. He may be on a spiritual journey or a self-reflective adventure to say, man, I can do something hard. I can do this. I can, go out here and climb these mountains that I've never seen. And we had some guys that Mario and Austin guided this year for deer that were exactly that, from Illinois, that they didn't care. They just wanted to experience the West and the mountains and be out there and get the experience. And, they got on good deer and they had a great time, but they weren't there for the deer. They were there to just hunt and have something in their life they can say, man, me, my brother, and my dad went out and we all went mule deer hunting one year. And that's what, that was their goal. That was their main. They emphasized that many times that we don't even care about the deer. We're just here. We just want to be here. And
Yeah.
it's been a blessing for me to be in that spot to say, now I'm not gonna sit here and say we don't look for big. Of course we look for big animals. Of course we're looking for the most mature animals. Of course I look at Trent and say, that's a dink. What are you doing? Leave it alone.
I'm from Oklahoma, dude. He's huge.
But at the end of the day, you can't forget that more piece, right? Like everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a more to the reason they're there. And at the end of the day, I've found that 9 out of 10 times it has nothing to do with the animal.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
as a guy
Well,
who
and-
isn't
Oh, go
directly involved in Blackhorn, like I was a, quote on air quotes client this year, right? Like it wasn't, sure it would have been great if we were bringing home a bull. Like we worked our tails off to make that thing happen. It just didn't quite work out. But dude, it was like I mentioned earlier, it was sitting around the campfire, or it was, the four of us like just BSing while we're glassing for 6 hours straight. Like, like you have a lot of really interesting conversations whenever you're out in the sticks with somebody for all day long for a week straight, like you really get to know a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was like
absolutely.
all of those things that made that experience exactly what it was.
Not
just
necessarily you
like,
get to know a guy, you get to know yourself, man. Like that's
yeah,
I'd say that's the biggest
100%.
takeaway from a lot of guys is you get to learn you.
yeah.
Yeah. Can
Dude,
you do
so,
some hard shit
like-
or can you not?
On that note, whenever I went to Colorado this year, I ended up shooting my first ever elk, but I shot it on like day one of the hunt, and we had 2 other tags to fill between 4 guys. And so I got super blessed, super lucky, for lack of a better term. Like there was a little bit of skill involved from a buddy of mine early on, but I ended up shooting a bull on day 1 and spent the next 9 days just lugging through the mountains and like alone with my thoughts. And like it was a hard year for me getting to that point, right? And that was like a big goal that I had. I was like, I moved back from Korea. I was like, my goal this year is to kill an elk with a bow and arrow. Like that was like the dream. And I figured it would take years and years to make that thing happen. And dumb luck as it happened, I found it. But then I spent the next 9 days with these like incredible guys
No
and
dumb. My
helping out
man
hiking mountains.
straight stoned that thing on a frontal. Like, yeah,
It was like 9
playing
yards.
all.
It's tough to
He
miss.
calls a bullet into 9 yards, stones it right in the chest, and it just whoa. I mean,
It was dumb luck.
homie's playing
but-
humble over here, but
I mean,
It-
I swear, like we can. Do you want the details of it?
No.
Like
we'll
we can
go
down
into
that
it in
rabbit hole.
another episode. But
Okay.
no, yeah,
But like, I did not deserve to kill that elk. But where I'm getting at is like, I had 9 days of just doing hard shit, hiking, sweating, bleeding, and it was just me and my thoughts and those mountains, man.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. It was fantastic. I was like, couldn't have dreamt up a better
but that's
way to spend 10 days.
To the point I'm trying to prove is you went out there, never elk hunted. You and your buddy got it done day one. Amazing, exceptional shot in a very quick scenario. I watched the video. Made a shot a lot of people wouldn't make on an elk.
I almost didn't take it.
And you don't even think about that being like, man, yeah, I absolutely hammered that thing and I executed the shot. I've practiced and practiced and practiced and everything just bam, bam, bam happened. I did it perfectly. I'm awesome. You didn't even think one bit about that. You immediately went into, what was the shot was, half a second of the 9-day hunt.
Yeah.
So there's so much more out there that you experienced and you took away from that probably, if it's fair to say, even overshadowed shooting the bull.
I 100% does. But the thing is what caught me off guard is that's not what I was expecting out of it, which is crazy. Because like you said, it was my first time ever like going on that adventure, and I just dreamed and dreamed. And me and my buddy, I was working that literally I was TDY the day prior, ended up flying in at midnight. He met me at my house at midnight, and we drove for 12 hours to the middle of the night to get to Colorado. And the entire time we were just like, man, can you imagine what it'll be like to bring home a dead bull? And then like it happened, and it's not the thing that like stuck with me, which is crazy.
Yeah.
No.
Like it's the thing that I dreamt of for 8 months while I was in Korea and couldn't do it, and then got back, and then it all happened, and it's like it wasn't what I really like wrote home about.
No.
Which was really
sure.
cool.
Like
it took me way.
I
off
do
guard.
it a lot. I do it a lot where I like just fantasize like hunting for months out. I'm like, I can't wait for this to come, like opening day. And then like when you look back on the hunt, even after you shot something, it's just like, dang, like I remember the whole hunt, like how I got there, setting up camp and everything, but like actually killing the animals like super minimal, like as far as like the memory goes. Like it's all so much more about the whole trip, who was there, like the conversations you had, just everything. I mean, like even the food you eat, like everything's just kind of better when you're in the mountains. Like
The carne
it's kinda
asada
cool.
isn't.
Yeah, not the carne
Man,
asada,
you
dude.
gotta use some.
Leave that shit at home.
God, the best carne asada is with citrus, some oranges, some limes, some lemons, some light seasoning. You just, I'll make it for you, Cole. Don't worry.
Don't trust the white
No,
boy.
no.
Cole, I'm sorry, dude. I totally just you really poured your heart out there, and I just took it right off from
But
underneath you.
like
But
seriously
you're
though,
right.
he's
You're 100%
right,
right.
man. Like for me, you take this deer right here, that one right there. When I look at that deer, I don't think about that deer. I think about Cole. I think about Jim. I think about our other buddy Cole. The 4 of us out there deer hunting, and yeah, I was the guy that shot the deer, but that deer wouldn't be dead without those 3 other guys. Just it's not. It wouldn't be. Not in the way it happened, right? It was all 4 of us on glass. I think Jim found the deer. I think he found that specific.
It's usually
deer.
always,
and
yeah, and it's like always a group
Yeah.
effort. It's never like just a me
No.
thing. It's usually always a group. I mean, there is some people that solo hunt
Yeah.
and whatnot, but like, I think some of them are kind of missing the mark as far as like the experience goes. When you're just the one guy like out hunting by yourself and you're just sleeping in the passenger seat of your truck, like I think you're kind of missing out on like I guess what some hunts could be as far as like experience goes. I'm sure you still get a great
yeah, that's
experience.
what I was
like,
about to say.
reflect on yourself.
Yeah, those hunts are a very necessary part of my hunting as well. Jim and I both hunt solo a lot. Jim hunts solo a lot, and we are the passenger seat sleeping type of dudes in the truck, and it's very freeing to be out there by yourself. Cole hunts by himself a lot.
Yeah.
You
do.
start thinking of stuff, right? And the more I hunt alone, the more I want to hunt with my buddies. The more I come back from that hunt, like, man, I wish Cole.
And then you
Cole
hunt
and
with your
Jim was
buddies,
here.
and you're like, I can't wait to be alone.
No,
It's a self-licking lollipop, dude.
yeah, dude. It's
Yeah,
just
literally.
you know, I've started to categorize each hunt in my head as what am I when I apply for this tag, what is my goal for that tag, right? Like, is this me applying for this by myself? Am I applying with a buddy? Do we have, plans to go together? Am I going alone on this? So when I'm looking to acquire the tag, I'm looking to right then in that moment when I apply, I'm saying, all right, this is what I want out of this hunt. And 95% of the time, the animal is the other 5%.
How many times does that hunt surprise you? You got something that wasn't what you said you wanted and ended up being way better than what your initial thought. Does that make
That
sense?
deer right
You know
there.
what I'm saying?
That deer
Yeah.
right there. Cole and I hunted a deer we had called Forks for the entire hunt. I had a September archery tag, 24 days, and we were trying to kill this deer, and oh man, I was like,
He shot him in the hoof.
yeah,
Or he actually missed him.
I missed,
But like
I
clipped his
missed him.
hoof.
I got one shot at him. He was bedded forever. How long did I sit on that hillside? 6 hours.
For a
It
long
was like
time.
6
Yeah,
or
at
7
least, like,
hours
6-7
in
hours.
September in the desert
Good Lord.
on a hillside. So the buck was on the shaded hillside. I was on the sun hillside, and I sat there for probably 7 hours. And I
sounds
kept
miserable.
texting Cole like, if he don't stand up soon, I might just back out of here or throw a rock or I was like, I might just shoot an arrow into the other hillside and see if he bounces up out of his bush.
Well, it was like he was bedded on like the shaded hillside. You're in the wide open sun, and like if you moved, he was gonna
Yeah.
see you.
I
So it
had
was
one
just, like,
bush,
you sit
so
there
that whole
frozen.
hillside was void of any bushes except for the one bush I was behind. And the one bush I was behind left me probably 150 yards from where he was gonna pop up out of the bush, out of his bush. So I was like, well, I have got to cut the distance. So I kept scooting and scooting and scooting. So I'm behind no bush. I'm laying on a hillside that's nothing but rock and an inch of like yellow grass. Just baking, just absolutely baking. And my pack
Just
and my
cooking,
water
dude.
is in the other bush, and I'm just out there like dying. And so the buck finally stands up and feeds up, and I get up and draw and take a shot. And dude, I've been sitting in the sun for 7 hours, and I remember drawing back and looking through my peep, and I'm seeing like the little stars specks. I'm just like, I need some water. Like as I'm drawing, I'm like, oh, I need some water. So yeah, we say I don't know if I hit the hoof. I hit a rock right below, just straight down on his leg. I don't think I hit the deer. Our buddy's wife killed the deer. What, a month, 2 months later?
Yeah, like 2 months later in the rifle
Yeah.
hunts.
She killed that same deer.
She killed that deer that I missed, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So we went back. We kept hunting, and when Jim glassed that deer, he thought it was that deer. He's like, "Oh, I got him! I found him!" I'm like, all right, cool. Not gonna tell the whole story of how I killed that deer, but when we eventually walked up to him, Jim was like, "Hey, this ain't that deer," and he said it in a tone of like, I'm walking up like, "Oh God dang it!" He's like,
shot a
he's like,
dink.
man, he's like, yeah, I don't know. This isn't that deer. There's no way that's that deer. And he's doing it on purpose, right? And I'm walking up because he clearly sees the deer he's standing at, and he knows it's a giant. And I'm walking up to it, and he's like, yeah, man, I hope you like him. And I walk up, and I'm like, oh, and he's just a giant, just heavy mass, 3x4 with a kicker, like. Not the same buck. We've never seen that buck. Don't know where he came from, but he showed up that morning. Jim found him. I immediately went on a stalk, killed him first stalk, and so no idea. No, we don't. I have a shed from him, but we didn't know that we had no idea that deer was there.
Yeah.
Well, we found the
Packing
shed
him out.
like
No. It was like 2
we
days
found
prior.
that shed. Yeah,
Yeah.
2 days prior. Like
we
hunting that
were
deer,
still
we
hunting
called
that other
force.
deer, and I found the shed, and I was like, "Dang, it's a good buck." And we've
Yeah.
been in that canyon for 20 some days and never seen him.
And never saw him,
Mhm.
and he
Yeah.
just
And just
shows
one day
up
just
and
shows up,
surprises
and
you.
I'm like, "Oh, you're dead." And he was. It took. It was a 10-minute stalk, and boom.
Dude, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Just the epitome of like, again, like you told the story about how you like got the animal down, but it's cool to think like it's not the thing hanging on the wall that sticks with you,
Nah.
you know?
Yeah, it was Jim being a dickhead. Like, oh man, this ain't the deer. And then, not to mention, there's a whole other story. He was telling me that I shot him really bad, and I was like, oh dang. But I think from his angle on the hill to where I was, it looked like it was far back. But yeah, he was Dunskies. It was
So
fun.
I think that is
Yeah.
that's the epitome of it, man. Hunt for more.
Yeah. So there's
always
so
get
much
more out of it.
more to the hunt, man, and that's what this podcast is going to be. And it's not just going to be hunting related, right? There's going to be a lot of guests we have on that, a lot of different life stories, a lot of different life things. I won't say that it's going to be heavy into like military, with Trent and I both being military, but we're going to interview a lot of guys that are in our sphere of influence, that are military guys, do have deep backgrounds in the service, but also are killers, man. Well, killers in more ways than one, but
Yeah.
are good hunters, right? And there's a lot, and we're gonna break down who Cole is, and we're gonna do a whole podcast on probably each one of us, and really break down who we are, why we're here, what we're doing, what's our goal, right, and what we're here to do for you. Because at the end of the day, and I'll go more into this later when I talk kind of about what my story is and my why, but add value to others is something that has been burnt into me in 2024 due to the loss of a friend and mentor. And so that kind of spurred me to, say, hey man, we need to be doing more than just killing and posting
pictures
and
of it.
sharing
Yeah.
the highlight reels, right? Like, which those are all good. Those are all great things, but there's a lot more to that. There's a lot more
Yeah.
to everybody.
Yeah, it's not actually.
right.
Yeah, so for kind of the overview of it is, I think our game plan is next couple episodes, like you got a good taste of kind of what the vibe's going to feel like around these
Yeah.
parts, but we'll do a full episode on each one of us, kind of like how we got into hunting, what hunting actually means to us, and truly like what hunting allows us to have on top of that, like what value hunting adds back to our lives, to our families, or how we relay hunting to add value to other people's lives as well. It's all kind of intertwined. It's all connected. You're not just a hunter, but being a hunter makes, Trent more so who Trent is
Mhm.
on his day-to-day life,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a good wrap-up point, boys.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for next episodes. It's not just going to be the three of us idiots sitting here talking for an hour every episode. There's gonna be some cool people come on here. Really cool people with some really interesting stories, backgrounds, businesses, you name it. We're gonna have them on. We're gonna talk about what makes them them, not about their hunting career, their hunting accomplishments. While they're cool and they'll be part of their story, it's not what makes them them.
Yeah.
So that's the goal here. We will definitely be giving away some cool things. We'll do some gear giveaways, some stuff like that. Probably a raffle of sorts on a guided hunt that will make Cole go and guide you on something. You'll never know.
Oh,
Make a
baby.
video out of it as well.
Yeah. Now this,
Yeah.
like I said, with
The
Black
lucky
Horn
winner.
Guide Service, the motto was, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. So, as be it with the podcast, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. So that's why you'll see it on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Trent here is the old editor guy, the what do you call it? The producer?
The producer, dude.
Not a strong
Not
font
emphasis
guy.
on the
Not a
word.
strong font guy. But,
Yeah.
we'll get
Do
there.
not judge us for fonts.
if the fonts
we're
come
all
out,
growing together.
We've been working on it with him.
We'd love to hear your feedback. If you hate a font, let me
He's
know.
not a font guy, but he's doing all right. Doing all right.
I'm trying to be a video guy, but fonts way down the list. Of
The man can
priorities
fly an F-16, but he can't create fonts. I don't know.
there.
I don't
No,
know.
it's not even creating. It's
Oh,
just
no.
choosing, and I always choose wrong. I try a new one every time I send you a video. Haven't found one you liked yet, except for one for the label. For actually the logo
Hunt
of
for
the
More.
Hunt for More
Yeah.
podcast. That
It
is
is
the
a
one
solid
only
font.
font you've ever approved.
It's a
of.
good font.
It's here for you guys.
Why
You're
don't you
welcome.
stick to it?
That's a good idea.
a
If it
valid
works,
point.
why not
Yeah.
use it again?
Something about it being not broken and not fixing it. something like that. I don't know. Whatever they say.
All right, folks. Appreciate the time. Thanks for listening to us. There will be a lot more humor and a lot more screwing around and learning, educating, inspiring, hopefully. And yeah, some good stuff. So,
Educate, entertain, or inspire. Or all
is that
three.
what it is?
Yeah.
All right.
Those are the
There we
big
go,
those are the
baby.
big key words.
There's not a whole lot of protein in breast milk, by the way. Cole let us know. He's a
Yep.
brand new father.
Nope.
Tastes like almond
Just been
milk.
telling
though.
us some things. So
Yeah.
congratulations to
It
Cole
won't give you
on another child.
gains.
And baby mama shot a cow yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Incredible.
baby mama shot
Fresh
a
out
cow.
of birth. Shot a cow.
Birthed the kid
like
and shot an
a
elk all in the
week
same week.
She's feeding a family with all kinds of
Yeah.
things. With her trigger finger and her nipples.
Oh. Oh.
Amen, brother.
I think that's a good
Emily's
ending
gonna
point, huh?
listen to this, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, she definitely is. Yeah.
All right, that's all, folks. Thanks. We'll see you next
Yeah.
week.
Peace.
Question mark.
See ya.
Peace.